Oh, oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. There we go, and many more electric pun jokes as the season goes on. Hi guys, and welcome to the new series, the Cruel Wall Formula E style. So, how we're going to do it? Well, I'll start you off with the fuel rules and regulations. Of course, we're going to be scoring drivers from 0 all the way up to 10, depending on how their race result was, how good of a race they had. We're going to take into account just the race only this time around. Free practice sessions and qualifying sessions are completely out of it, although it would be noted in the race if they ended up qualifying 18th and finished 4th, for example. Of course, that's a good race. So, yeah, that's the thing for that. And of course, yes, you can see Pascal Wehrlein is there. He's with us in spirit. He's not here this weekend. It's Felix Rosenqvist in his place. I am aware of that, but of course, Wehrlein is the permanent driver. So Rosenqvist will just score him some points this weekend, but that'll be it. As also you can see, there's a team section now. The driver Cruel Wall and team Cruel Wall has been combined. So both drivers score towards the total of the team wall. So if they have a bad race, then the team have a bad race. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out as well. 22 drivers on the grid, so let's get down to it, shall we? Let's kick things off with the winner. So, of course, the winner was Antonio Felix da Costa. After qualifying on pole, he won the race. Should it have been his race win, though? I think those two cheaters were looking a little bit better than the BMW, shall we say. But da Costa drove a flawless race. And, yeah, he kept it clean and tidy, didn't it? I mean, I was expecting the BMW Andretti to do well. I think it was a good partnership this year. But to win out the first race, yeah, I wasn't going to say that was going to happen. Let's put it that way. I was expecting the regular suspects of the Audis and possibly the Edams being up there, but wasn't the case. And it's nice to see a little bit of a mix-up at the front. So Andretti taking their first ever win in Formula E as well, which is nice to note. And yeah, da Costa's all the way down there because they got classed as a new entry with their BMW enhancing performance, shall we say. But Antonio Felix da Costa led most of the race. Had Jev and Lotterer not had their respective drive-through penalties, which we'll come to in a moment, then I could fully see that da Costa would have finished third. But a win's a win. You take them when you can. But just for that reason alone, that he didn't just quite have the fastest car, I'm going to score him solid 9 points. 9 points for da Costa. Next up was Jev, John-Eric Verne. And what can we say about him? Last year's champion, drove like a champion. What a fantastic race that was. That was absolutely brilliant by Jev. Loved it to bits. He was driving around the outsider cars at the first turn. He was getting stuck in, wasn't it? He was driving like a trooper. Unfortunately, he got a drive-through penalty along with his teammate and a few other cars as well for exceeding their power boost limit, which is mainly caused due to hitting the curbs and the wheels spinning up a bit too much. It's a thing that really Formula E need to sort out. I've got to be honest. They need to give some kind of tolerance because it's not cheating. It's not, you know, anything to do with the fact that they're purposely doing it. It's just one of those things. And with them not being able to practice or really qualify properly as a result of the rain, it meant that they'd not really got to grips with it in those sessions. So, unfortunate for that. But Jev, a flawless race this weekend, got to be said. Fantastic, actually, when you think about it. The fact that he had a drive-through penalty and it was such a long pit lane, and the Formula E cars don't have pit stops anymore. For him to come through and finish second was a fantastic achievement and put on a great show, an absolutely fantastic performance. So, Jev, well done, mate. You're going to get the first full 10 points on this wall. Well done. Next up, we have Jerome D'Ambrosio. Anyone else really happy that D'Ambrosio got a podium? Anyone happy that Mahindra got a podium as well? Let's not forget Mahindra have had a rough time in Formula E, and D'Ambrosio had certainly a rough time last year with Dragon, barely scoring points, let alone podiums. So for him to return to form with a podium in the first race, great confidence boosts for both him and D'Ambrosio. Sorry, Mickey. Certainly a confidence boost for both D'Ambrosio and, of course, the Mahindra team. And again, he got his elbows out when he needed to. He kept it tight, he kept it honest. He managed to hold back a charging Lotterer after his drive-through penalty. And as well as Daniel Abt as well, he was getting mixed up in there. It was really going on down in the lower places for the podiums. And There was cars all over the place, and the new attack mode was working as well. We saw that work to good effect in certain aspects. And yeah, for D'Ambrosio to finish third, masterclass, I think. I think that was a solid drive by him and a great Saturday. So for that reason, I'm going to score him 9 points. I'm not going to give him a perfect 10, but 9 points, certainly not to be sniffed at. Then we come to Mitch Evans in the Jaguar, finishing 4th. I think that was a great performance, you know. Jaguar strong, again, but just missing out on the podium like they normally do. But still a long way to go. Still 12 rounds left in this championship, and Jaguar have started strong, so I think they'll get stronger. Outracing his teammate as well, let's not forget, Nelson Piquet, the Season 1 champion. So Evans, fantastic job by him. Again, was charging, trying to get past the likes of D'Ambrosio. Didn't quite pay off. He had to defend from the likes of Buemi behind, and as I said, all those different things going on with the fan boost and the attack modes, especially towards the end of the race after that last safety car came in. So did well to hold 4th place. And yeah, Mitch Evans, I'm going to score you a solid 8 points. It's not really cruel at the moment, is it, the cruel wall? It will get there, trust me. You'll see what I mean and why it's called it. Next up in P5 was Andrea Lotterer, and what can we say about his race? It'd have been a 1-2 for Techeetah, easily. Hands down, they've got the best car at the moment. And yeah, out the bag. Like a rat out a drain pipe, it must be said, but just a bit too fast in places, weren't you? Spinning the wheels up, same problem as Jev. And yeah, unfortunately, drive-through penalty. And came out in about 7th, clambered his way back up to 5th, but frustrating. Strong performance, but frustrating. So let's hope they can get rid of those little issues, those little niggles, which I'm sure it'll just be a one-off for a team like Techeetah. And they'll get back up there. But Andrea Lotterer, solid race, but of course not as great as your teammate. Jev had the measure of you before the drive-through penalties for the pair of you, and he did outrace you to get to a better position. So, Lotterer, I'm going to score him 7 points. I'm going to be a little bit harsh with him there. 7 points, more like a T. We'll sort that out later. But yeah, 7 points for Lotterer. A great race. Techeetah are strong. If they keep on delivering like that, they'll be the champions. Then in P6 is Sebastian Buemi for the Edams Nissan partnership now, not Renault anymore. And what can we say about their race? Well, he did okay, I suppose. Yeah, he did okay. Middle of the road-ish. He did some good overtakes. He was overtaken as well, of course, let's not forget. And all in all, just an average bog standard race by Buemi. Stuck his elbows out when he had to. And then, of course, in the end, P6. Some solid points for the new partnership. More than respectable, but just not quite in the top 5. And yeah, he raced fair, he raced well, but I'd like to see more. So, Sebastian Buemi, I'm going to score him 6 points. I think he did a solid job, but could be better. Then we come to Ollie Rowell, his teammate. You see, this is why I think Buemi should have done better. Ollie Rowell, the rookie, brought in last minute as a replacement of Alexander Albon, and there he is, just behind his teammate. What can we say about that? Rowell just appeared from nowhere, didn't he? He was running around 13th, 14th, something like that, and in the end, using the attack mode to good effect, behind the safety car, getting rid of that, getting that out the way with. He did a good job. He did a good job. He seemed to manage the car well, the energy well. Energy wasn't so much of an issue with the safety car this time, of course, but he did a solid enough job. And finishing... Sorry, Mickey. And finishing 1 place behind your Season 3 champion, or is he Season 2? I can't remember. Oh, fuck that, Mickey. And let's not forget, Ollie Rowell finishing just 1 place behind is a total rookie to this championship. 1 place behind a Formula E champion, more than respectable in my eyes. So for that reason, Ollie Rowell, good result this weekend for you. You're going to get 8 points. Well done. Next up, we have Daniel Abt in the Audi. Now, where were Audi this weekend? Well, Degrassi finished behind him, so 8th and 9th for the Audi pairing. Not where you'd expect the previous year's team's champion to be, would you? Degrassi had a terrible start to last season, so at least he scored points this time around. Abt, he won the race last year at the first round, and then it took off him. So for him, a not so good a start really, but at least he scored some points. And 8th for Abt, 9th for Degrassi. Abt got the measure of his teammate. Degrassi got his elbows out when it mattered. He made a good move around PK especially during the race. And yeah, some really nice overtaking by the pair of them and trying to make that attack mode, and they both got the fan boost to good effect. Didn't quite work out in a couple of times. There was mainly just a cluster here and there, especially at the first turns and the first complex after the start line. And yeah, a good race though by the pair of them, but not where Audi want to be. They've got a lot of work to do, especially to catch up with the likes of Techeetah. So for that reason, Lucas Degrassi and Daniel Abt, I'm going to score them 6 points for Abt, 5 points for Degrassi, because I think Degrassi should do better than what Abt did. Not putting Abt down at all. I think he really deserves his seat still, especially after last season's performance. But Abt outraced Degrassi. Degrassi's the champion. He should be ahead. Simple as that. Then rounding out the top 10 is Degrassi's arch nemesis. Then rounding out the top 10, of course, is Degrassi's arch nemesis, Nelson Piquet. We mentioned how they had a good overtake and a good battle there, and Piquet came off worst and scored a point. Outraced by Mitch Evans, who finished 4th. That wasn't great, and only picking up a point. At least it's a double points finish for Jaguar, something that rarely happened in the early part of their seasons last year. So yeah, congrats to Piquet, picking up a point. Congrats to Jaguar, a double points finish, but I think that I wanted a little bit more from Piquet this weekend and for him to be nearer Evans. So for that reason, Nelson Piquet, you'll be scored 4 points. 4 points. See what I mean? Then outside the points, here we go. 2 surprises in my eyes. Sam Bird and Robin Frins. The two Virgin cars. Now, they're apparently the only independent on the grid now. They've not got manufacturer backing. I'm not sure how true that is because I don't know what Neo's connected with. But yeah, but those two, 11th and 12th, you'd have expected them to be fighting for the podiums, wouldn't you? I certainly would have done. I'd have thought they'd have been up there for the points and podiums, but 11th and 12th, a tough start to their campaign. Sorry, Mickey. A tough start to their campaign for the Virgin squad. Not really finishing where they'd want to outside the points, but overall, at least they kept it out of the barrier, they kept it out of the wall, and yeah, you can't really say much more than that, can you? Okay, a difficult weekend, but they can build on it, and yeah, hopefully go a bit better in Marrakesh. So, Sam Bird finished just ahead of Robin Frins, but it was all much of a muchness, so I'm going to give them 5 points each. Benefit of the doubt this time around, that the car's not quite with it, and we'll see how they go for next race. I'll be harsher next time around. Next up is the 2 Neo cars of Oliver Turvey and Tom Dillman. Well, what can we say about Tom Dillman? Well, I'm not taking qualifying into account at all, but he did qualify second after blatantly cheating and ignoring what the previously discussed to do. The Formula E qualifying format was thrown out the window this weekend due to the rain, and meant that they didn't stick to the original plan, which put a lot of these cars out of position in certain aspects. Dillman qualified second but didn't obey the rules, so got chucked to the back of the grid, and I think Turvey just had a poor run in it and he ended up at the back as well. So for them to start towards the back and finish 13th and 14th is respectable, but that Neo car did look to be struggling, didn't it? Especially in the early part of the race. Without that safety car, they'd have been stone dead last. They were the 2 to execute the attack mode, and they were still at the back after they'd finished their first 4 minutes of the attack mode. So not a great start by them 2. Like I said, points were only really possible, and getting on the back of the grid was only really possible as a result of the safety car, but it didn't come to fruition for points. And yeah, 13th and 14th, okay, yeah, respectable enough, but I think that Neo team have got a lot of work to do. But for Turvey and Dillman, I'm going to award them. Turvey did a good job. I'm going to award him 6 points. Dillman, must try harder, 5 points, middle of the road. The car, I'm partially blaming for that. It was nice to see him race towards the end because we'd not seen much of them, but I think with a race without safety cars, they're going to be well down the field, firmly at the back. So we'll see how it plays out. I've been a bit generous there, but it's the first race. We'll we'll have a slightly less cruel wall and take it from there. Then in 15th place we have Max Gunter on his debut for Dragon. Now what can we say about Gunter? Well, he did an okay race really. Not one of the best debutants, of course. That I think had to go to Ollie Rowell, didn't it, for that impressive performance. But yeah, overall not too bad a race, and yeah, did okay. Got his elbows out a little bit here and there, but he was mainly on the receiving end of the elbows out, defending for positions rather than attacking. Yeah, difficult weekend for Gunter. The Dragon card doesn't look to be up there, although Lopez was doing well. So yeah, Gunter just needs to find a bit of pace. It's early days yet in a championship, which is just coming up with the Generation 2 car. New features such as the attack mode, 5 cars getting fan boost now. So it's a lot to take in for a new driver that's previously done F3 work and things like that. So see how it goes for Max, but I'm going to score him just 3 points this weekend. Thinking he's topped his game in comparison to where his teammate was before his retirement. Sorry, Mickey. Then we come to Stoffel Vandoorne with the new team, HWA Race Lab. And at the bottom of the pecking order here, and what can we say for Vandoorne? He qualified 5th, got promoted to 4th, of course. I'm not taking qualifying into consideration as part of the race, but he was out of position in the race. He definitely was. That qualifying format, that temporary format, worked out for some, didn't work out for others. It worked out for Vandoorne, but realistically, was he ever going to keep hold of that? I knew it would be a long shot, but it would have been nice to see him in the points. But all the way down into 16th is not where he'd wanted to finish his first race of this season. And especially after trying to reset himself and prove himself after McLaren, it's going to be tough. But it's a completely different kettle of fish, Formula E to Formula 1. So let's give him a few races, although Vandoorne's performance was poor this weekend, unfortunately. And for that reason, I can only really give him the same score as Gunter, and that was 3 points. So unfortunate, really, for Vandoorne. But again, I think it'll come to him. Just give him till Chile. We'll see how he gets on there. And you never know, with the different drivetrains in the car, it might suit better circuits as well. So let's wait and see. Then we have Felipe Massa for Venturi. All went wrong for Massa, didn't it, with the drive-through penalty, just like what Degrassi... Next up, we have Felipe Massa finishing in 17th place, and not a lot can be said for Felipe other than an unfortunate drive-through penalty for him. Yeah, same as Andrea Lotterer, but he was middle of the pack around 9th and 10th, so his drive-through penalty just put him right at the back of the queue, and that was that, unfortunately, and couldn't make the best of it to get back through the pack. So, character building first race for Massa. He's learnt the hard way of the penalties in Formula E, and looking to build on it. But having said that, he did some good overtakes at the start, didn't he, at the early part of the race? So for that reason, I'm going to score Felipe Massa 5 points, middle of the road, because I think the penalty is harsh. Formula E need to look at it, and he did have a good start to the race. The end result doesn't show the true picture. Points were possible. Points were possible. Then we come to Alexander Sims, and oh dear, he did it twice. He got himself a drive-through penalty for exceeding the boost, and then got himself a 10-second stop-go penalty for exceeding the boost again. So, an unfortunate race and an unfortunate debut for Alexander Sims. When his teammate was winning, he was struggling and finishing down the bottom of the pecking order, sadly. So, yeah, not really a match for his teammate, was he, this weekend? Was Alexander Sims. Shame, really, but, you know, character building weekend, as we said, and he'll be looking to improve on Marrakesh, learning the ropes of Formula E. Nice to see him applauding him on the podium as well, so shows he wasn't too bummed about his own race and was pleased for Da Costa and the Andretti team. So for that reason, Alexander Sims, I'm afraid you're only going to score 2 points. That was a poor race, I'm afraid. But again, character building. Then we come to the last of the finishers. 1 lap down was Eduardo Mortaro, and what can we say about him? First lap, he looked to have a brake issue or something like that, or it could have just been driver error, not doing the pressing the brake pedal too hard or not hard enough, and ploughed it straight on into the wall, found reverse, drove it into the pits, got a nose cone change, and then came back out, but it was just a test session from then on. yeah, so he did better than he didn't do as well as his teammate Massa, and he had a bit of a shocker as well. So unfortunate, because points were looking possible for the pair of them, for the two Venturi boys, but just never came to fruition. Montaro struggled. He crashed in the early parts of the session as well. I think it was FP2 he crashed, or the only practice session that they ended up doing. But yeah, Massa didn't do too well. Mortaro, slightly worse. Depending on if it was a mechanical failure or not, I'll let him off, but I think I'm only going to score him 4 points. That's been a bit generous, but 4 points for him there. And then we come to the retirements, of course. There were 3 this weekend, and last on this list, so... Next we come to the retirements, of course, and the first on this list, which means he was the last to retire in the race, was Jan Maria Lopez. And what can we say about him? Heart bleeds for him for definite. He had a good race. He was looking to do well. He looked like he was going to get a podium, maybe about 4th if the other two had pipped him. And yeah, unfortunately had a rear suspension failure, like we saw on the older generation of Formula E cars. And yeah, he deserved to do well. Considering Gunter was all the way down there, Lopez had a solid race until that issue. But new points and new penalty system on the cruel wall now means that a driver who retires can score no more than 3 points. So it's between 0 and 3 effectively. But I am going to give Lopez 3 points, because I think that's all I can do. 3 points for his race. He didn't score any in real life, so he's 3 up effectively, but deserved more this weekend, definitely did. Then we come to Gary Paffett, and what can we say about him? Looked like he parked it as a result of a mechanical issue as opposed to a crash, but was struggling in places, it must be said. He was looking a little bit off the pace in comparison to Vandoorne, and points were never really possible even before the retirement. So a shame for Paffett, but it's a character building weekend for the HWA Race Lab team, and of course Vandoorne and Paffett. So Paffett, I can only score you 1 point. And then we come to the standing this weekend. Felix Rosenqvist, so I'm just going to put a bit of a throw there. Just so we know, it's Felix Rosenqvist, so this score won't go towards Verlines, but will help the team's championship. Except I'm going to give him 0. Because let's face it, Felix Rosenqvist, what a poor weekend. What a poor weekend, really, if you think about it. Okay, he retired as a result of not his fault, looked like it was a mechanical issue. But it just didn't do anything the entire weekend. I know I can only take it into a racer's point of view, like I've said, but I expected more, and nothing really came of it, so a shame, really. Right then, guys, and now it is time for the new feature at the end of a video. So, if you didn't get a chance to vote this time around, then be sure to check out our Twitter and, of course, the YouTube community comment section on this channel to be able to vote for your straw poll in future as to who deserves the fan boost and who deserves the attack mode. Now, the fan boost will award the driver who you think delivered the most. If they win the poll, then they will get plus 5 points added to their score. The worst driver this race will get minus 5 points, and that will be the attack mode. So we're going to attack a driver and we're going to boost a driver. So we'll do the boost first, and with a convincing 12 votes over Felix da Costa, we have John-Eric Verne. So he will win the first fan boost of the year, which is plus 5 points. That's a strong start for Verne with 15 on the board. That's a good effort. And unfortunately, the attack mode of the week goes to Stoffel Vandoorne. After winning the fan boost so convincingly in the race, and unfortunately, he has been scored the attack mode of this race weekend. So that's minus 5 on 3, so he'll be on minus 2. But just to let you know, these do not affect the overall team score. This is just for the drivers only. So a lot of maths involved, but in the end, it tries to keep it fairer for the team's championship, because minusing 2 off of it, yeah, it just doesn't work, does it? So there you go, that's the new feature. As I've said, we do a straw poll on our Twitter page, and we're hopefully going to get it on Facebook, and we will have it on our YouTube community channel as well. We'll put the link in, click the button, there's all 22 drivers there, you just pick one. We're going to put the vote up after the checkered flag falls, and then there you go, you've got a couple of hours, pick the one, I announce it on here. So there you go, guys. That was the first Formula E crawl wall of the 2018/2019 season. I hope you did enjoy it, and let me know your thoughts and feedback down below on the race. And as always, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and much love.